Peace, peace, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Cliff Notes Podcast, available everywhere you listen to your podcast. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, checking us out, subscribing, downloading, wherever you checking out your podcast. Dope conversation I had an opportunity to have with a cat who's so well known in the hip-hop underground scene. Producer, Emcee, record label owner, just an all-around good dude. Crazy busy though, so it was really special to have him take time out of his schedule to come and rock with us, man. We talk about his beginnings over at Fat Beat Records. We talk about the new crew, Jamo Gang. We talk about FiveSe7en Collective. A great conversation with a great dude. We went for a treat in the latest episode of the Cliff Notes Podcast featuring J57. Let's go. Support for the Cliff Notes Podcast comes from Acapella Apparel, an idea born from a love of hip-hop, funk, and soul music and its surrounding cultures. With fashion being a huge visual part of the cultures, they've created expressive images to pay homage, invoke nostalgia, and showcase the elements that make up the lifestyle and cultures of these genres. Acapella, apparel for the music lifestyle. For more information, check out acapella.com. That's AKEPELE.com. Yes, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Notes Podcast. Available everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course at cliffnotes.com. A couple shout outs before we get into it, man. I got to give some shout outs to folk who've been rocking with us literally from all over the planet. The UK has been rocking with us heavy. France has been rocking with us heavy. Our family up north in Canada, big ups to y'all. I appreciate y'all subscribing to the podcast and sharing the podcast. It definitely means a lot, man. I just want to let folk know that we pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? We see you. So a big thanks to everybody for spreading the word. So this one is one that we've been working on for a minute, and it's really dope. I just feel privileged to have an opportunity to chop it with this guy because he's like ridiculously busy. So for him to take time out of his schedule definitely means a lot. But without any further ado, let him know who you are, Cat.
Yo, what's up? This is J57 from Brown Bag AllStars, Jamo Gang, New York City. I'm an MC producer. Cliff is my man. What's good?
What's good, bro? Yo, thank you so much, man. This means a lot, bro, for real.
Dude, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here, bro. Like you support so much from the Brown Bag era to the Jamo stuff to the FiveSe7en Collective to, man, I just appreciate it. And then on top of it, you're the homie. So this is fun. We get to like talk.
No
you know
doubt.
I mean?
That's what it's about, bro. So you touched on a bunch of different things, man. But one of the things that I kind of wanted to start off with, because I just think it's really cool, is your connect with, you know, getting started with Fat Beats, man. So, you know, I think when we all kind of get hip hop is really a part of culture, like, and not like the cliche-ish culture, right? It's a part of how we grow up. Just rhyming with the homies in high school and this, that, and the third. But I think your journey really kind of gets started in a real sort of professional way at Fat Beats, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's what's up, man. So how did that even come together? Like, how did you get to like, how did you get to work at Fat Beats? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, I started emceeing, I started rhyming, in November, I think November, December of 1999, and then I was starting to make beats in January 2003, and then I started interning at Fat Beats September 2004. So I was already doing my little 1-2 by then for a little bit, not very good, but I was doing what I was doing for a few years. And so what had happened was my man DJ Concept was DJing an event in New York City. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm born and raised on Long Island. So I was still living in LA at the time. I didn't move to Brooklyn yet. I did move a couple years after this though. Mm-hmm. But I went to go check DJ Concept, who was DJing an event with DJ Amore. It was like a networking event in Manhattan. I went there. I saw my boy scratching, you know, playing records, doing his thing. I was too shook to hand out beat CDs and stuff like that at the time. And like all my boys who I was coming up with at the time, they either like couldn't come because they had school, you know, they had college or whatever, or some people's priorities were a little different than mine and they wanted to go party and do like normal stuff you do at like, I guess, what year is that? I was 21 or something. Yeah. They all wanted to do 21-year-old stuff. And I was like, nah, I got to grind. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I went and did what I had to do dolo by myself, shook. And I thought I wasted the whole night being at that event until at the very end, DJ Concept came up to me and he's like, yo, would you want to intern at Fat Beats? Like, Amore, who I just did this event with, is like the manager there. She's looking for interns, and they need like specific people because it's like real cutthroat, and there's a lot of people who want that position.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be sweeping floors, putting away records, and helping customers. I'm like, I'll pay to do that. So I went and met her, shook her hand, got her card, called the next day like I was supposed to, and we set up the interview, and I went there. I went maybe a week or two later. She was finally able to have that interview with me, or it was a good time to do it, whatever.
Yeah.
And whatever it ended up being. So I guess it was like August when this event went down, and then September was when I finally started interning. So yeah, man, that's how it all started. And I got hired after that, but I was interning.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to bring it up, man, because I think anybody who's familiar with hip hop, the history of hip hop, recognizes the significance of Fat Beats. And for you to be a part of that iconic history that's crazy, bro. Like you're a part of that. Like, J57 and Fat Beats, like you're a part of that history. It's
insane to me still to this day. Like, we just did an interview for the 25-year anniversary. It was me, Eclipse, Ill Bill, and Q Unique. And I grew up listening to all three of those dudes. I grew up listening to them for a long time before I even met them, let alone started making music with all three of them now, which is actually in retrospect insane. And now we're all being asked to do an interview together. Like, that's so mind blowing to me that I'm a part of the legacy. I know I deserve it because I earned it, and I love the culture more than anything. So it's like I'm a good person for it. There's no doubt. But still, as a younger generation, like, I'm not young anymore, but as a younger generation from that era, man, I'm just telling you, like, I would take my little Long Island Railroad trip in every single week to go intern, or even when I got hired and I was still commuting before I moved to Brooklyn. And it was just like, I really didn't know if I would be a part of the legacy. I thought maybe I would be there for a little bit of time and they would get all these bigger and better people would come and whatever. It was just the mindset I was in. Yeah. So to be a part of it, man, I am eternally grateful. So shouts to Eclipse, DJ Jab, Amore, Meticulous, man, the list goes on, So I'm just super grateful. And Fat Beats is a very important part of the history. There's no doubt about it. If people listening don't know about it, you just Google that real quick, Wikipedia, whatever. Like, it's all over the place right now, especially with the 25-year anniversary. So shouts to Joe Dent, shouts to everybody over there.
No doubt. So then out of your time working at Fat Beats, I think the next thing that we see is the creation of Brown Bag AllStars.
Yeah, man. So Brown Bag. So I started interning, 2004. So did Audible Doctor, and so did DJ E Holla. Both of them are from Brown Bag AllStars. Mm-hmm. So us three became like brothers, became really tight over the course of at least 2 or 3 years. And I want to say it was 2007 when I went solo from the group I was in kind of sort of just like I wouldn't say disbanded, but we just stopped doing stuff together.
Yeah.
And shouts to all of them though. And so did Audible Doctor. Same exact thing happened where he was in a group with somebody and that was like his best friend, and I think they were roommates still. And they just kind of stopped doing stuff together at that moment. And Ihala was DJing for his brother, and I think the brother was taking a hiatus. It was some kind of thing like that. So we all just were coming together, and I was like, yo, I want to feature Audible on this song. And then I was bringing in the rest of the crew because I'm the one who knew everybody individually outside of those three. Yeah. And they didn't know those other guys yet. So I was like, yo, come to the studio. And we were going to my man Belief studio in Brooklyn, Jesse Shatkin, who's like hit-making pop producer for now, for, Sia and I believe Rihanna or Adele. I don't know. He's like the man. I still keep in touch. Great guy. But we were going to his little apartment at the time and drinking a lot of 40s. And I was just bringing the homies through to record for my solo stuff because I didn't really want to do solo stuff yet. I wasn't in love with the idea of that. Yeah. I knew I wasn't ready for it. So I was just bringing them through. And I was like, dude, let's make this a group after a little bit of time. And everyone was already thinking the same thing. So it was just it all really developed from Fat Beats 100%. And then they all started interning at Fat Beats after that, the rest of the crew. So that's everybody, crazy. Yeah. So when we put out our first project, every single member of Brown Bag was definitely already established at Fat Beats for a long time by then. So yeah, we're rooted in Fat Beats 100%.
That's really cool, man. I was getting ready for the conversation, man, and like you said, man, we're people. So I know your situation, I know your history, but you still want to do your homework. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But I'm going through, man, and I'm looking at your discography, bro, and it's like, come on, man. Like, I'm looking at like 12 different sources and I'm still not finding everything, bro. Like, you work like a madman, bro.
I appreciate it, brother.
I'm on iTunes. I'm on Discogs. I'm on your Bandcamp. And I'm like, Yo, where does it stop, man? This dude never stops working. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's it. I'm so grateful to even be able to, man. Like, yeah, I'm just, I'm in my 30s now, and in my 20s, all I did was keep my head down and work. When I wasn't working my job at Fat Beats, which was only a few days a week, really, I was in the lab.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't have a social life at all. I really didn't. I just started having one in the past few years, and I'm in my mid 30s now.
Yeah.
So I gave up a lot, like a big chunk of my life for this. And by no means am I jaded or resentful or regret it. I'm so glad I did. It was the smartest thing for me as a person. Everybody's different. So yeah, it is, man. I just work really hard, and there's a lot of timeless music that was made back in those really broke, living off credit cards, horrible days back in the day, 10 years ago. And that stuff is actually coming out now still. Some of those beats, some of those songs, and people don't know it. So it's like I had this discography because I was working on so much stuff, stockpiling so much. Yeah. And then there was a good amount of time where nobody cared about my music at all. Saved it, just tucked it. Like I'm doing now. I'm tucking certain records that are too big for me to release right now because it wouldn't go over well with the current, I guess, support team I have. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's what it is, man. I just keep my head down and work. That's it. And that's what I recommend to anybody who's an artist that's listening. You just do that for a while. And trust me, it will pay off.
That's what's up. But it's interesting, bro, because the way you break it down like that, it goes to show how thoughtful you are about the process, about your process, but about the process as a whole. Really thinking things through, trying to figure out when is the best time to release music, release material. Does that come from just the experience that you've had? Is that, knowledge that was given to you by other artists, or is that just something internal? Where does that come from?
Yeah, I appreciate you noticing that. I mean, honestly, I know it's an internal thing. It's not, it was nothing that like I created or earned. It was like some like I was given from like the universe, that kind of like gift. I know everybody's been given certain gifts, a lot of stuff I can't do that other people were given those gifts. And that's one of them that I have. I know for a fact that's what it is. Cause I remember in 2008, the Audible Doctor dropped Brownies, which is now kind of a classic beat tape. And, man, I wasn't jealous. That's not the right word, but I was so like, I want to have something come out. That was like, the mindset I was in, and he was like, just drop something already. And I remember tucking everything I did at that moment until I had a label and try to push it. Because he had Fat Beats at the time putting it out, and they weren't interested in me in the slightest at the time. Understandably, though. Yeah. But I had all these beats and all these records that they haven't heard yet, so they didn't know, and I didn't understand that part of the game. Now on the low, I'm meeting with majors and all these people and playing them all the stuff that's not coming out, and they see the big vision and business plans or moves and all that are happening on the low, which create, they're rooted now. They're going to create something for my future. But back then I didn't know that part of the game. And I got lucky where my man DJ Brace was like from Canada. He was like, yo, I was playing him all the stuff I was making. And he was like, yo, I'm on a label called Balanced Records here in Canada. We just won a Juno, which is like the Canadian Grammy for Brace's instrumental album. He goes, I'm going to tell them if they don't put your record out, I'm going to leave the label. Like kidding, Right. And shouts to Adam and the whole crew there. They believed in what I was doing, and they put out Digital Society, my first beat tape. So that was the reason I bring that up is that was my, trial and error, if you will. That was when I realized that's how you do it. Like you show people what you're doing on the low. You show them the music. You don't just like, that's the advice I want to give a lot of people right now. If you don't have a real crazy following or crazy people reposting your stuff or whatever, you don't want to put out your best stuff right then and there because two things will happen. Two things could happen. One, it falls on deaf ears, which I always was afraid of. And two, bigger people could steal what you're doing. And I'm not talking about sampling or stealing your beat. They can steal your ideas, your subject matter, your flows, your like song structures if you're original enough to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's kind of what it is now. A lot of people who know me, like you, like if we got up and chilled today, I would play you all the stuff I'm doing. You'd be like, how is this not out? I'd be like, here's why. Because this guy's watching me. This guy's looking at every story I post. Yeah, and they'll have like millions of followers. And I see that they're watching and they will steal my ideas. And I'll be another Hip Hop DX headline where it's like, so-and-so steals J57 song. I'm never going to be that guy. Right. I'm going to tuck my stuff. Like I'm going to tuck all the music. I'm going to do it right. And that's the advice I'm just trying to give anybody listening or anybody who's not a musician that's listening that can't understand why people like me do that. That's what it is. And that was, again, the internal gut instinct that I had early on.
That's what's up, bro. Have there been any instances where you got though?
Oh man. No.
Nice.
You know what it is, man? Growing up like a nice guy and all that, being a nice guy coming up. I had to learn how to not be such a nice guy early at the Fat Beats days. Like, remember, I'm a young kid in hip hop culture. Mm-hmm. In New York City, old New York. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I learned a couple things really quick. Like I almost got a couple of times really quick, and I didn't on some other ish, and I really like learned. So I applied that to everything in my life, and now we're here, I guess 15 years later, and there's no way somebody could now. It's just way too airtight. So I'm lucky that I realized certain things. And you know what? And now I'm mentoring a lot of young kids who are 17 to 25 years old, and I'm really putting them on game so they don't get got by the industry or by other people.
That's what's
up. The artists.
So I gotta ask you this, B. As an artist, as an MC, you're from Long Island.
Yep.
Coming from Long Island, did you feel any sense of pressure when you look at who else is from LI? De La, Rakim,
my God,
you know what I mean?
Dude.
That had to like sit in the back of your mind a little bit, like, I don't know, man.
You know what, man? No, that's a good question. I guess that's a good question from somebody outside looking in, but from growing up there the era that I was starting, to cut my teeth in the game, there wasn't anybody from Long Island doing it, and their time already came. And don't get me, but they were just such legends by then, where I'm like, recorded my first songs on 4-track recorders at my boy's basement, but then we were also lucky enough to like scrounge up a couple of dollars, and some of the big homies put us together with Charlie Murata at the EPMD studio, and we were recording with their engineer, Charlie Murata, who's like on the back credits of every album they did. You know what I mean? And anyway, we were able to go there. So, but by then they were just such legends, and there was so much, everyone from De La, like you said it, Rakim, come on, man. Everybody, like, it's insane. Like me and Method Man actually had a really good talk about Long Island hip hop at least once. And that's just like, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane, the lineage and whatever. Like people really don't realize it. But at the same time, like I said, everybody's a lot older than me. None of them were my generation. There was nobody. There was only one guy that was, when I was coming up, that was doing it, and that was J Hood.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
He was down with D Block. Yeah. He was the only one. And I think he might be a year older than me or two. And fun fact, he's on a project featured on a track that's coming out, and he kills it.
Of course.
I can't say which song, or which album, but like, long story short, man, there was nobody at the time. There was literally not one person. That's still that I didn't feel any pressure at all. I felt like we were forgotten by then, kind of how New York probably feels now a little bit. Like we feel like, a lot of them feel there's so many people popping, but there's so many people aside from the ones who are popping that I know for a fact a lot of other guys feel like they're overlooked or whatever now, because it's very cool to be from LA or Atlanta or other places, random places too. You know what I mean? So, for me, there was no pressure like that. It was just like, it was almost like a sense, not of entitlement, but like a sense of like strength, like assurance, like I can do this. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. Okay. So since you mentioned his name, man, we got to talk about the Purple Tape.
Oh yeah.
Bro, like how did that even happen, man?
Man. All right. Where do we begin? Shouts to Freddie Nice, who he was working for the label that put out Meth's album. I want to say this was summer of 2014 when I was reached out to about it, or no, I'm wrong. Early 2015. I literally, it was the day before I left for South by Southwest. So that must have been like February, March 2015. Freddie Nice reached out to me and was like, yo, we got a banger for this Method Man album. We can't clear the sample. I know you go crazy with the sample free stuff where it sounds like samples. Can you submit some beats so we can replace this one song? And there might be features on it. We don't know. And I was like, I'm going to kill this. Let's get it. I didn't sleep for a whole day. I even brought in my man Aki Burmese to play keys on some stuff. I played everything. I went crazy. I brought in singers. I brought in a choir. I went in. And I sent them 4 beats. And they were like, yo, we think this might be the beat. And then they were like, wait, no, this isn't the beat. And I had to make a new one. And that's when, and I was like I was packing my bags, going to South by Southwest the next morning at 6 a.m, packing my bags. I'm about to leave in like 8 hours. Like, you mean I got to send you another one? Like, I'm not going to be home for a few days, and I'm not missing this opportunity, and I'm not missing South by, because I was throwing a show at the time too. So I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? So I just didn't sleep. I just brought in that little choir I'm talking about, female and male vocalists. I chopped up what my man Aki Burmese was playing with the keys and all that. I played my own stuff on top of all that. I just went in. And I spent a whole night on that one beat, which ended up becoming the Purple Tape beat. And then when I found out Raekwon and Inspector Deck were on it, your boy almost cried tears of joy. Seriously.
So dope, bro.
Nice for being the point man with that. And Hands as well. Hands On is he was the overseer of the album. So I had a session in Shaolin at the Wu-Tang studio. Once the vocals were all there, they wanted me to come through and oversee it, which was really cool. So yeah. Crazy, incredible experience, man.
I mean, and to have those, to continue to have those has got to feel good. I mean, you've talked about how hard you've worked and the sacrifices that you've made, but to have those markers, those points where you can see, yeah, the work that I put in, this is the fruit of my labor. That's got to feel pretty good and satisfying.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And I gotta say that for things that came out, you know, because there's so much stuff that still hasn't come out with some big name people and whatever, for my stuff and for other people's stuff, for the stuff that came out, that was by far, I would say that's the biggest thing I did, especially at the time. So for me, I was just like, oh, this is real reassurance. You know what I mean? Like, this actually shows that this is all worth it. You know, there were so many things before that too, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, I grew up listening to Wu-Tang. I'm in a documentary somewhere saying, this is 10 years ago when we did the documentary. It's called Adult Rappers. And I'm literally saying in the documentary, man, if at 14, if you could get tattoos legally, I would have had a Wu-Tang tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Then you fast forward to when I'm like in my very early 30s and I'm like doing records for them. And then I'm in the music video with them. And Meth is like, yo, I want Jay here for this part. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, that is super amazing for me. Yeah.
That's what's up, bro. So, we're building. You constantly hit me off with music that either people that you're producing or people that you're mentoring or just people who are in your circle. So thank you for always keeping me laced with good music off top.
Dude, thank you for all the introductions too, like Brookfield Deuce and the homies. Come on.
Well, and that's what I want to get to, man. It's so cool to have that network with you where I can potentially introduce folk who I believe in.
I love that. Yeah.
It's amazing. So, been rocking with Brookfield for a minute and supporting his movement. And when he told me about the project that he was doing, America's Orphans, and his vision for that, what he wanted to do with it, and looking for ways to expand the reach of that, because I think I just believe so much in the project. I think it's such an important project. And
it is.
Reached out to you and made that introduction, and you were able to make even more things happen, man. So thank you for that. But talk about that, like the conversation with Brookfield and how things sort of blossomed.
Oh man, you know what's crazy, bro? So like I said, in my 20s, I didn't have a life. So there's so many times where people, our age, we're hanging out and they're like, yo, remember in the movie, blah, 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 when this happened and that happened? Or you ever see the show, blah, blah? I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen any of that stuff. I don't know what any of these references. I don't get any of that stuff because I didn't do any normal stuff. So like, one of them is I didn't really follow sports for a while. I grew up playing football and hockey. I was the captain of the hockey team all through high school. Like, I went hard, you know what I mean? Until music. Yeah. And then I applied the same kind of dedication and whatever and discipline to music since day one. So with that being said, I did not know who Damian Lillard was when I first talked to Brookfield Deuce on the phone. How many months ago? It was not a year ago, right? It was like maybe 8 months ago. I didn't even know who that was, yo. I didn't even know who that was.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
think
crazy.
About that.
That's crazy, bro.
My own father laughed at me pretty hard when I told him that, by the way. Big basketball guy, plays 3 times a week still. Yeah. Shouts to him, of course. But like, yo, I got on the phone with Deuce through the email intro you did. You sent me the SoundCloud link of his music. I immediately understood what he was about. I was like, how is he not signed to TDE? First of all, that was my first thought. And then I talked to him on the phone and I said that, and he goes, "You're not the first one to say that, bro." And like we talked for like an hour and a half, me and him. We talked for an hour and a half on the phone. Very humble man, especially knowing what I know now about him and the accolades he has. He didn't name drop anything that he's done, anyone, anything. No. And then after that is when I found out who his cousin was, and even then I didn't know who that was. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's like a guy who might have played in a game once on that team. Like, I didn't know who he was, yo.
Yeah.
So then I told my pops, and he goes, "You're kidding, right? Like, you don't know who that is?" And he like sent me the Wikipedia or something. He was like, in an email, he was like, "Yeah, you're gonna need to know who this is." And I was like, "What? Holy crap!" And then I found out about him rhyming and all that too. And I was like, "Wait, this is like a real thing. Like, this is an asset to the music thing, like to the culture and to what Portland's doing, especially musically." And I was like, "Wow, this is insane." Obviously in Oakland as well. So I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And hey, that was cool because I got to see how, Deuce got to see me as a real person because I wasn't in there being like ulterior motive, like, I'm going to get to the cousin and blah, blah, blah. Like, he got to see me as a real human being being like, "Oh, I think you're cool and I think the music's cool. Yeah, let's build on all this stuff." I offered everything I would have offered even if I knew about his cousin, know? Yeah. But I just want to say that's how humble he was, that he never was like, "Yeah, we were on a private jet last week." He didn't do any of that stuff everybody would do. Right. He didn't do any of it. So I had no clue for like days after we spoke.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to say. That's a humble dude and a very talented artist and visionary too. I like to think that he's definitely like cut from that cloth, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I so appreciate about Deuce. And you know this from talking to him, and I'm filtering a little bit because I want to think about what I want to say, but I think people know that his desire is to put content out there that is positive and uplifting and very meaningful, but also to be in a position to serve other people. And I think he's a solid dude. So to be able to make that connection was just really, really cool.
I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you,
to this day, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. So, prior to that connect, again, you're sending me music, and I'm trying to remember how it happened, but I think you sent me a joint and said, "Hey, we're in the studio working on this thing. I want to send you this song. I did this song with El Gant and Razkaz."
Holy crap! Early.
And it was early because it was before. I feel like you sent me that joint before it became official.
I did. It wasn't a group yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, man. You were like one of 2 or 3 people I sent it to. Literally.
Bro. So
late 15, I think. Yeah.
I'm sure you've told the story, but like Jamo Gang, because I think when you call, I asked you to call into the radio show, and I think you talked about it on the radio show, but like where the name came from, like how that all happened, it was super organic, man. Like talk about how that, like where Jamo Gang even came from.
Well, dude, really good timing on asking that, because it comes from the Method Man video shoot. So I was a part of, like it actually stemmed from that, funny enough. So I was a part of a radio show called Rap Is Out of Control on Sirius, and still is, shouts to Eclipse and Riz. And I was, co-host at the time, and we had Razkaz come up for an interview. He had a new EP coming out, and he brought El Gant with him, who I go back with from 2004. So like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And and I'm like, oh, that's crazy, So us 3 would chop it up when Eclipse would spin, and be playing music when we weren't doing talk breaks. Us 3 would hang out in the hallway where it's all quiet and just like kind of chop it up, And again, I go back with Gant like at that time, I don't know, 11 years, something like that. So it was just, and him and Raz were really tight by then. They were touring, they were like brothers by then. So it was just like really cool. So we got along really, really well. We were supposed to get up the next day to get in the studio, but I had to hit them up and be like, yo, Method Man video shoot tonight. Like it was supposed to be tomorrow night, but it got pushed up a day. Can you guys come through or whatever? And Raz was like, I'm in. And Gant was like, I'm in. I'm like, let's get it. So they came to the shoot. And as soon as they come in, Raz is like, what up, Jay? And then the whole Wu-Tang crew, like Rock from Helter Skelter was there. All these people are like hugging Raz. And I kind of looked like the man for bringing Raz there, which was funny. That wasn't even the idea. Right. I was just trying to have Raz come through because I was already big time a fan since like 1997 probably. And now we're talking 2015. And like, man, great night. Had a great time. The next day, later that night, Raz was like, yo, so are we doing the studio tomorrow night since we ended up not doing it tonight? And I'm like, you're going to still be in town and you're down? He's like, I'm down. Let's get it, bro. He wasn't very familiar with my music at the time. I realized in retrospect, which is fine and actually good for this. So him and Gant came through to my spot in Brooklyn, my little studio, and I was just playing them beats to see what they wanted for their projects. I'm like, oh, if I get a beat on Soul on Ice too, man, get out of here. That'd be crazy. And he was like, I had my back to them. I was playing beats, and I bought a big bottle of Jameson, and a big bottle of Jameson. And, because had to. So I'm playing beats. I don't even know if they're liking the beats or anything because I have my back to them, and I'm just playing like 10, 20 seconds of each beat going through. And I turn around after like the 4th or 5th, not hearing any, not even somebody going, yo, that's dope, nothing at all. So I'm like, and there was like people that came with them, so it was just a quiet room. So I'm like, damn, are my beats that bad? And I turn around. And Raz's eyebrows are mad raised. Like he was like shocked. Like he was shocked. He was like, yo, I got to say, I was like a little familiar with you, man, but I did not know you had beats like that. And that was not the experience I expected from all this. I did not expect that vibe. I thought it was going to be him being like, yeah, I like that beat, man. Send me that beat. Send me that stems one day. That was a cool beat. I did not expect that. And Gant was like, he's like, Jay, he's like, I've known you a long time. He's like, I have your first beat CD, which I actually had the balls to hand my beat CD to El Gant in 2004, by the way. And he still has it, which is funny enough. Can't imagine what it sounds like. And Gant was like, yeah, I've known you a long time. I've seen everything you've done with Brown Bag, the whole nine. He's like, these beats are like next level you. Like, people are not expecting this. He's like, let's do some verses real quick, Raz. And Raz is like, I got a 16 ready. Let's go. Like, he was writing on the spot.
Wow.
He wrote the hook for Straight No Chase on the spot while I played the beat. And I had no idea. I had my back to him.
Yeah.
He wrote that hook on the spot. And then he had a verse that went really well to that beat, or he like tailor-made it work. And we knocked out Straight No Chase, hook, and Raz verse, and Gaunt's verse. And then we did the song The Altar, both of their verses, all in the same session while killing a monstrous bottle of Jameson between us and a couple of people in the room. And then they went to go do Static Selected show that night on Shade 45. And I was like, yo, I'm going to send you guys an email with roughs of the two songs we did, like, little roughs. I don't mix, so they're going to sound rough. And they're like, no doubt, we're going to bump them in the Uber on the way to Statics or whatever. I was like, got you. So I sent it to him, and the subject was Jamo Gang as a joke.
Yeah.
And these guys were drunk, by the way, and they went on the radio, and they made a joke saying that we were a group now called Jamo Gang. And I passed out on my couch. I woke up to a million tweets from people and follows and all that from people I didn't even know, being like, I can't wait for Jamo Gang. Oh my God, I can't wait. Jay, holy crap. Like people who did know about me or didn't. Yeah. They're like, I can't wait. Yeah. And I was like, what are you even talking about? I had no recollection at all, dude. And so on Static's show with millions of people listening, they kind of announced the group as a troll, as a joke. Wow. And then Premier was like, yo, I think you guys should actually do this. I think this would be really good for you, Jay, as a producer. And I think this would be dope to have you guys, because I was going to be an MC in it originally. They wanted me to rap with them. Yeah. And I was like, I wasn't in a good place for that at the moment. I had a lot going on, like life-wise, and then also just all these other projects. Yeah. And those are two top-tier lyricists. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm only going to be able to do stuff once in a while. If I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. And I'm going up against, let's say, these two guys who are titans. And the odds are already stacked against me because people think I'm just a producer to begin with, a lot of them. So I'm like, I have to really bring it, and I'm not in a place in life or mentally to do that right now. So I told them, like, yo, I'm going to stand back. I'm going to do a verse here or there, maybe a hook, whatever. But, like, I'm going to be the producer, and I'm going to produce the crap out of this because I could be producing, like, in airports, on a flight with my headphones. And that's how I did the whole EP, was flights in airports, 100% of it. A couple times in my bedroom or in different studios, different cities. But a lot of it was a lot because I was traveling a lot, especially at the time. So during the creation of that EP. So that's how it all came about. And that's how the dynamic came about as well, of them two on the mic and me on the beats. That's pretty much it. And that's how the name came about.
That's crazy, bro. So, but there again, I mean, I think those things that are truly organic like that, those are situations to celebrate because you know that it's truly about the art. It's truly about the relationships. It's not about, how can we capitalize financially on this situation.
Yeah, you're right, because people do that. There's a lot of people who do that, and it's okay sometimes. Like, I'm not going to even name names, but I know from my Fat Beats days, there were some people who I looked up to that had in-stores, and they were like, yo, how does this guy sell in the store? How does that guy? I was thinking about linking up on a project with him. Our names together would be crazy. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, my God, please do it. And I'm not going to say who, but some of them did, and it's one of the biggest groups in the world right now. Yeah. And then I'll tell you off there. And then another one was somebody where I was like, please don't do it. Like, please, for the love of God, don't do it. Nobody wants to hear you guys together. Nobody does. And they never did, thankfully. But, we did not do that. I mean, I didn't know Raz like that. I was just a fan. We had a very good rapport by then because we had a great time at Rap Is Out of Control. Then the next night at the Method Man shoot. Then the next night at my studio. Yeah. So we had a really good rapport. And then we chilled again. I think we all chilled with Premier a couple nights later. Gaunt was just starting to be cool with Premier. Now they're like best friends and stuff. But like Raz already had a classic record created and out in the world with Premier. And Preem was already like really, really there for me for years by then, which again is the greatest accomplishment of my life. So it's like for him to sit down and be like, you guys should do this. And then Raz was like, I'm all for it. And me and Gaunt were just like, yeah, that just makes so much sense. And me and Gaunt were like really good friends for 15 years by then. So we're all brothers, go on tour together and we have a blast.
That's what's up. So I think it was, I don't remember when it was, but I saw the announcement that you guys got a distribution deal with Fat Beats.
Yeah, we signed to Fat Beats, man. Like that was like a year in the making. Like they hit up about, shouts to Joe Dent. We spoke about, I guess, September of last year. And then, it was on the table by A3C and we ended up signing a little bit after. And we held off on announcing it until I think it was like spring. So we could release like a single and give them like a warning shot while we finished the album and make it very, very like dope, make the album as dope as we humanly can. And it is like, we literally are finished with it now. And it's going to blow people's minds like when they hear it, man. I'm so excited. So yeah, we did sign with Fat Beats, and it's a blessing.
But Jay, like, how crazy is that? You know, we start the conversation talking about you starting off your career at Fat Beats. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in this amazing crew, and you just signed to Fat Beats as an artist. That's just nuts, bro.
I can't believe it. I just didn't give up, man. That was all it was. Like, they knew who I was since 04, and I was reached out to in 2018, and that just says I never gave up. That's all it is. I'm not like, oh, it should have been before or anything like that. Well, I didn't want it to sound like that, how I just said it, but it was like I just never gave up. And then they saw the work ethic, they saw the material, they saw the quality, they saw how much I care about this stuff, and they saw how it could be just a mutually beneficial thing. It's not, and because I never wanted to ask for anything. I never wanted to be like, because think about how it comes off like, oh, Jay is a part of the family. He's asking for something. He's lesser known than some of the people we do stuff with. So it comes like now I'm like asking for something. Yeah. But now I waited till I leveled up, I guess, or something, and then the universe brought that one to me, and I was super prepared, super prepared, overly prepared, man, for everything. I'm so prepared for things right now that people wouldn't even believe if I said it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things that don't make sense. Yeah, that's how you got to be. That's all it is.
And yeah, so and even with that, bro, like what a lesson to be learned. You know what I mean? That you put in the work, and it's about the work, and it's about the art, and it's about being consistent, and the other things will come if you do that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm grateful for the team, the family I have, the whole nine. That's what's Nobody, up. My dad never said get a real job, not once. You know what I mean? Even when things were tough back in the day, I never asked for money, nothing. But he never was like, you should use that marketing and communication degree you have. Like he never once did that. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's like a good, smart dude. You know, like it's not like he was just like in some dream world or something. Like I'm grateful to have that guy for so many reasons, and I know it, and I think about it every day. And for him never to say, go get a real job or something, even when things were tough and I didn't have a name. That's why I kept going, you know?
That's huge. Man, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like having that support. And that's one of the things I think I found with people who have solid careers is that they have solid people around them.
Yeah.
That you just can't.
Such a blessing, man. Such a blessing. For sure. Every day, I write it in my gratitude list every day, how grateful I am to have those people in my life. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. So another thing that is that's a big part of what you do is your label, is the FiveSe7en Collective.
Yes, sir.
Where did was that something that you always felt like you would do in the way that you've done it? Because I feel like it's not only a label that's putting music out. I feel like it's an opportunity to educate and potentially mentor artists.
Yeah, I think that's the most organic thing that's ever happened to me, probably, was that. You know, obviously Jamo Gang sounds like the most organic thing ever now in retrospect, but like this might be because of what you just said. Like, long story short, I was doing the thing called FiveSe7en Group, where I was managing Soulcon and Scene back in 2010. I was producing them and managing them. And then I learned you can't do both. It's impossible. So I just became the producer after that, mainly. But so I had FiveSe7en Group, and it was just us three. And DJ Element was a part of it, too. Actually, I was managing him, too, technically. You know, it was a little different because he's a club DJ and he wasn't really making beats too much yet. But yeah, so I was doing FiveSe7en Group, and then you fast forward to 2014, and I started doing a fake label called FiveSe7en Music, and it was I call it a fake label because it was really just a bunch of SoundClouds, and I didn't want to do any overhead stuff. I didn't want to put money up. I didn't want to divvy up when people sell a certain amount and like do all the work. I didn't want to do anything. I'm being honest. Yeah. Not even being lazy, just being smart about my time. Yeah. You know, from prior experiences. So I was like, yo, I will not do this. I'm going to do a fake label where we call it a label and we push everybody's SoundClouds who I believe in. And I'm mentoring a lot of them. You know, that's really what it was. And then I got just, too much going on. So we kind of put that on hold for a while and then started doing it again as FiveSe7en Music, like again with the SoundCloud. And then my man Rick Chavez and my man Von Eisen, they kind of were like, Von's already my assistant. Rick was like, yo, I'm retired from the Army this year. He retired at a young age, too. He's like, yo, I'm retired at a young age. I'm doing what I'm doing. I got time for you if you need help. And I'm like, oh, it's cool. Von's already helping me. And I immediately hit him back seconds later. I was like, wait, don't listen to that. Yes, I could always use help. And you're a good dude. Like, and you're an Army dude. Like, you're disciplined. Like, yo, this makes so much sense. Like, I've chilled with him mad times. He's come to mad shows in LA, whatever. I'm like, this makes so much sense. So we had a really great phone call, me and him. And he was like, dude, I'm here to help. I'll help Von with whatever you guys are doing. And then it just turned into them taking like charge on so much stuff. And then Mark Ski got involved in so many ways. And I mean, there's a crazy team. Love Jones, he created the logo. Long story short, my man Riley over at Hip Hop DX, I didn't know he was doing this. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. In June of last year, he made an article based off of my tweets where I was saying that I have a collective that I'm starting. And that was pretty much what FiveSe7en, the second coming of FiveSe7en music was. It was more of a collective of homies of mine from around the world who I thought were dope producers, DJs, photographers, anything that inspired me. Yeah. Anything that when I went on my laptop or my phone, if I looked at D. Catalano's photos, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but this photo makes me want to create music. It's escapism. Yeah. It makes me want to escape the world. It makes me want to create this music to help people escape who don't create. You know what I mean? Because we all need that. That's why we love music. And not to get into that, but like that was the reason why I started all that. And then Riley wrote this really dope article just based off of a bunch of tweets I said about me starting a collective. And it's worldwide and it's all different types of people in it and whatever. Not an interview, just a bunch of tweets. Yeah. And the article came out. I was in the studio with my man, Joe Rogers. We're making some indie rock stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm getting blown up by people being like, yo, why am I not on your label? I want to be on your label. Yo, some people were mad at me, too. They're like, yo, I saw all these names, and I wasn't on there, man. I thought we were doing something. I'm like, what are you guys even talking about? I wasn't on social media for days at that time because I don't do it like that. I'm busy. I'm getting people mad at me. I'm like, yo, I don't know what I did. I'm like friends with guys for like 10 years, and they're mad at cursing me out from LA and whatever. I'm like, what did I do? Yeah. I go to Twitter, and DX tweeted about an article hours before. I just didn't know. And I read it, and I was like, whoa, what a good dude. Shouts to, Riley Wallace, for doing that. And it made me want to actually buckle down and do some stuff. And Rick Chavez was like, dude, I think you should probably do the label thing. Like, it's looking like you're talking, like Riley didn't make it look like that, but the article, you could interpret it as a collective / a label, just organically again. And Rick was like, you might want to entertain that thought. He's like, I could really help you with that though. I could do all the stuff you don't want to do. I'm like, dude, that's a dope idea. And I get an email. I got an email from a major. I can't say who. And I ended up for distribution because they saw the article too. And I got an email from Soul Spasm for distribution because they saw the article as well. Mm-hmm. So it really was coming off like I was starting a label. So we weighed out our options. We turned down the major distribution. It wasn't right for the moment. So good friends still over there though. Turned that down. Went with Soul Spasm because it made all the sense in the world. And Jim is the big homie. Shouts to Jim Drew and Gerald and the Garys over there. And man, I'll tell you right now, that has been a dream come true because I already have a really great working relationship with Soul Spasm, and that's how it all started. It was basically made a lot of something out of nothing. Pretty hip hop, you know what I mean? Pretty hip hop. Yeah. But nothing was planned out. And the coolest thing ever was 2 years ago, DJ Element was DJing for Homeboy Sandman on a European tour. And I remember he called me on WhatsApp and was like, he was in his own hotel room. So Sam doesn't even know I know this to this day, but maybe if he's listening, he'll know. Element was like, yo, I had good dinner with Sandman. And he was like, yo, I could see Jay being one of those guys that starts a label one day and like has like a big label like a Rhyme Sayers or a Stone's Throw and da-da-da-da. Like that's verbatim what he said to Element. And again, this is 2 years ago. This was not even thought of yet. And I was like, oh, that's dope, but I'll never be like one of those guys. Like, I don't have time for any of that. And then you fast forward now and it's like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be that. One day we will be that. And you know what? Because I got to stop thinking I'm going to do it all myself. I got to realize you need a team. I need the Rick Chavez. I need the Von Eisen. I need the Mark Ski. I need we all play to our strengths. We all play a role. Everybody's we strengthen numbers, man. That's what it is. We're all strength in numbers. So I'm grateful as hell.
And so happy for you, bro. You mentioned Love Jones is on the label. The homie yes, Love Jones up here. Brookfield Deuces is there.
Yes, sir.
Theory has it. That's the homie, the big homie, and Chroma there.
Yeah, we're doing the Crumb and Theory album right now, man. Crazy.
Played that Pop the Cork joint last night on Welcome to the Neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
JB had an opportunity to connect with him when he came up here and
yes,
did the fundraiser that we did. I mean, like good people on the label. The roster is thick.
It's insane.
So cool. Yeah, it's so cool to see those folk. Just a part of the collective, man.
Appreciate it.
When it happens, when the collective becomes, you have the section, the sort of spoke off in the corner for radio DJs, man. I'm putting in my name right now. You know what I'm saying? I want to get down.
Oh my God! You kidding me, bro? I'm writing it down right now. You're in. I'm writing it down, Cliff.
Stop it.
Look. Post-it
note. There you go. I'm Cliff, official, baby.
F7C.
I'm
Look,
official.
You're on F7C. I got chicken scratch. When we get off this call, I'm hitting up Rick Chavez, and and Mark Ski. We're gonna get an email chain going. We're gonna get your bio. We're gonna get the whole nine going. I'm dead ass.
Oh, bro. Okay. All right.
Honor, bro.
Speak it into existence, right?
No, it'd be an honor. I just, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's all family, bro. Let's get it.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, yo, you brought up his name, man, and I gotta ask because he is literally one of my favorite MCs. The homeboy Sandman, man. Y'all working on a project.
Oh yeah. We've been for a while. Like, I have beats on every project he's pretty much ever put out, and that's my brother. We came up together for sure. And like when he signed a Stone's Throw, there were some people who literally were like, "Yo, you're so excited! Like you signed a Stone's Throw." I'm like, how are you guys not as happy? Like I just couldn't understand it. Yeah. That's what a couple of people did say to me. They actually said that. Verbatim, that's what the one dude actually said at a video shoot we were doing. Not somebody on the song or nobody in Brown Bag, but it was somebody else, a little homie. He's like, "You're acting like you were signed to Stone's Throw." I'm like, homeboy Sandman just signed to Stone's Throw. Not only are we in here, but that's our brother. Like he's about to eat. Good for him.
Yeah.
So like that's my boy like that. You know what I mean? And we're talking 2011. So now you fast forward 8 years, and we're only stronger as friends and collaborators. So yeah, we're working till the end of time, me and him. That's my dude.
And it's such a good dude, man. I've had an opportunity to meet him once when he came up to Portland to do a show, and communicate on email. He keeps me laced with radio edits whenever he drops stuff. Had an opportunity to do an interview with him for the radio show a while back. So I'm super excited to see what you guys are cooking up, man. And
I can't wait to show you, bro. When next time I'm in town, I'll definitely play you what we have so far.
That's what's up.
And there's a lot of stuff that he has to re-record because we worked on it over time. So there's stuff where there's like a Knicks member, a Knicks player that's no longer in the organization that has to get out of the reference because it doesn't make sense. Little things like that have to be fine-tuned, and it's Sandman. He could knock that out when we're ready. We're a couple songs away from it being finished, I think. But we'll see. Maybe next year kind of thing.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you this. I wasn't sure if you can't talk about it, then just let me know. But you were, I guess it was last year. Jamo was on tour. You were coming to Portland, so I was gonna have an opportunity to meet you like in person.
Yeah.
And got to the venue, had to work the next day, so I knew I couldn't stay long, but I just wanted to come and say what's up. And you guys got held up on your way coming down from Canada.
Yeah.
I think had to turn around. Tell me this. Can you tell a story what happened?
Yeah, I can tell it. Yeah. So we did a show in Vancouver, which was one of the best shows on the tour. It was a friggin' huge place, packed out. Man, Snack the Ripper came through. Like, it was so dope. And then we go to the hotel. We were like celebrating like we won the friggin' Super Bowl, man. We had the greatest Canadian tour, and then our last two shows were, I believe, Seattle and Portland. I don't know which order, but Seattle and Portland. And so we were coming down, or about to, and we go and look at the touring vehicle, and the whole huge back windshield is smashed in. All the merch that was in there is gone. CDs are thrown places. Shirts are ripped up. Majority of it was in the hotel with us because we're not new to this. But we got a little bit lazy that one night on a month-long tour. That one night, dude, we slipped up, and that was the one night somebody tried us. Right. That was the one night somebody broke in to see if we had anything because it's very tinted. You can't see. It's a big, touring vehicle. Yeah. You can't see in there. It wasn't like they see a box, and that's how they figured it. You couldn't see in there. Yeah. And we were in the hotel's garage. So you're like, where I come from, we're good, right?
Right.
Nah. There's a little tiny sign over there. And it says that there's no cameras and that it's on you if something gets stolen. And we didn't know that. So we slipped up. They got like hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. There's no doubt about it. And we're like, yo, the only thing that we could come. Yeah. And then we were late to our show because of that, going through the border, the whole nine. Everything was delayed. We had to go get a new windshield. We had to go get a new vehicle and stuff. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Cops were actually a little bit helpful. It wasn't like they were like slowing us up on some, you guys are Americans, blah, blah, blah stuff. They let us rock. So we got it relatively fast, but we got held up a lot on the way. And one funny thing was we're like, hey man, if on a good Samaritan note, it's like, all right, if somebody was homeless, maybe like because it was cold, like maybe those hoodies will keep them warm. That's peace, And then we're like, that's also good marketing. Like they're walking around with the Jamo logo everywhere.
Right.
We're like, all right, There's like a million people wearing our hoodie everywhere and the t-shirts or whatever, and they keep them warm. So cool.
Mm-hmm. That's what's up, man. It's all perspective, baby. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Man, the idea that you have this much music about to drop is exciting, but in this conversation, I realize it's not even that because there's so much more that you're working on, that you're cooking up.
Yeah, people don't understand, and it's okay.
Yeah. There's I should have asked you this before I turned the microphones on. So I know that when we were talking about setting up a time to do this, you were in the midst of working on something. I don't know if there's anything that you can or want to announce, or if we want to just kind of, wait.
Okay, I can't. There's certain things I can't speak on about it, but I'll just put it this way. It was we spent a week shooting some video stuff for a very important record that's going to be on the Jamo Gang album. In New York. We did that for a week, and it's my directorial debut.
Oh,
so
word.
I'm in the video.
That's what's up.
With a little bit of a Fat Beats and J57 budget behind it. So it's going to be it's going to look crazy. And I'm directing it, right? So, and then I went to Minneapolis for a week for some more businessy stuff, and that I can't talk about.
Okay.
but use your imagination in different ways, and you might figure it out. I think I saw a couple people figure it out actually on Elgon's Facebook.
Oh, word. Okay. That's what's up. Well, bruh, I'm so happy that things are continuing to go the way that they should with all the work that you've put in, and I feel proud and grateful to be on a journey with you, man, and just really appreciate you taking the time to come and do this, man. It's
man, likewise, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, thank you, bro, for real. And today's my goddaughter's birthday, so shouts to Marina.
That's what's up.
Yeah, when you hit me to do that on that date, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna forget. That's a big date, for me. That's crazy.
No doubt. Well, I know you're not super. You're not super active. Well, you are actually, and you and the label are both pretty active on social media, man. If people are trying to plug in and see what's happening, what's the easiest and best way to do that?
Yeah, for sure. So on Instagram, I'm J57 Music. That's my Instagram, and then that one I am active on. I don't really participate as much on a Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, but on Twitter it's just J57, but on Instagram it's J57 Music, all spelled correctly, letter J, number 5, number 7, all that. And then to the label / collective side, FiveSe7 spelled out with instead of a letter V and 7, it's a number 7. So FiveSe7en Collective is our Instagram, and that one is going pretty well. We're actually growing and really keeping the content alive on that as well. So it's really dope. And then the Twitter is you'll figure it out from the Instagram at least, but the Instagram is really where you go to see what I'm doing if you do care enough to see. And I'll put it this way, in my stories, man, the story, whatever it is called on Instagram, I give a lot of little hints and sneak peeks at things that I shouldn't be doing. But if you're smart enough, you'll figure out what is going on. You know what I mean? Yes. And then in 6 to 8 months, they'll be like, whoa, that happened. And I'll be like, yo, I've been wanting to tell everybody. Right. Bad.
Can you give any sort of a hint as to when the Jamo Gang project might drop?
I can't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I gotta ask, bro. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask.
I appreciate it, man. I literally just talked to Joe Dent, who's the head of Fat Beats. I just talked to him yesterday, and we are coming up with the what's it called, release date, sort of right now. So that's why I don't want to say a certain time frame in case of anything gets pushed up or pushed back. I don't want to be that guy.
No doubt,
you know what I mean?
No doubt. Exactly. Well, once again, bro, I really, really appreciate you doing this, man. It really means a lot, and just like I said, glad to be able to call you a friend, man, for real.
Oh, likewise, brother. It's an honor, man, for real. And now you're part of the crew.
That's what's up. It's official, baby. It's official, for real.
It's easy.
All right, y'all. That's it, man. That's another episode of the Cliff Notes Podcast. Shout out to the homie J57 and the whole collective. Be sure to follow and connect with them, man. A couple more shout outs, man. Big ups to the folk over at X-Ray FM for continuing to be gracious hosts of the Cliff Notes Podcast. Remember, it's available everywhere you listen to your podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can check it out at cliffnotes.com. If you want to hit me up, you can hit me up on Gmail, cliffnotes@gmail.com. Big ups to my folk over at Acapella Apparel for their continued support of the Cliff Notes Podcast. Check them out. They just released their 5th anniversary tee. They got a bunch of cool gear over there, man. It's AKEPELE.com, Acapella Apparel. Music or clothing for the music generation. And last but absolutely definitely never ever least, big ups to the homie Theory Has It for doing the official theme song for the Cliff Notes Podcast. All right, y'all, until we have an opportunity to do this again, y'all be blessed. Peace.
Peace.